What up? What up? What up, y'all? I said, what's up? What's up? What's up? This your girl, Tiffany Tucson, baby.
Y'all already know who this is. This is Miss Iconic. It's the hostess that always does the absolute mostest. And today, your girl is doing the mostest with her space buns or Afro puffs or whatever the little girl is that do like this with
Minnie
the
Mouse?
gum in her mouth.
Oh,
Whatever you want to call me one today, I'm doing the mostest like that.
okay.
Man, I don't know how I feel today. It's just been going so much going on. And I was reading a quote by Malcolm X that says, the most disrespected person in America is the black woman. The most unprotected person in America is the black woman. The most neglected person in America is the black woman. Hence the title of today's episode, man. And I posted a picture of me with the shirt on that says endangered species. And I put up a post. I didn't quote Malcolm X, but I put up a post with some of the verbiage. And I was just so surprised with the responses and things that I got. It just made me think, like, dang, like, that is so true, you know? So we're going to jump into that today and just break down, that quote, disrespected, unprotected, and neglected. We're going to go by those things one by one and talk about our experiences being disrespected, unprotected, and neglected as not just black women, but women in America.
Yeah, I agree with you, Miss Iconic. That's what's up. So, Miss Iconic, for me, as you say, disrespected, respected, or disrespected, unprotected, and neglected. I remember when I was going through my divorce, I had gotten cheated on like 6+ times, and I remember
You just not leaving.
yeah, but see, I remember his mother reached out to me, right? And she says, why are you not fighting? And so I was like, well, what do you mean by that? And she says, your pride is a sin, and you're supposed to take everything that comes to your front door.
You
And
know what else is a sin? You know what else is a sin? Raising no good Negroes to be disrespectful to women because the way
yeah.
they treated you was absolutely disrespectful. But anyway, I'm gonna let you go on with your disrespect. So.
Yes, child. Yes. So, by her saying that, it made me question my decision, because you hear it from a woman who is of experience in life. And so you're like, okay, well, I'm younger, she's older, so she knows more than me. And ultimately, that was something that it just really set me back to hear another woman say, yo, you need to take this. And it was a hard pill to swallow, but ultimately I still walked away. But just hearing women say, like, why would you walk away? Like, you got to put up with that type of stuff.
I mean, which brings up a valid point because when you're talking about disrespect, which is what we're on right now, and then we'll move on. But talking about disrespect, especially in relationships, man, we're disrespected by men because men feel like they're superior to us. And then we're disrespected by women because women feel
Yeah.
like we're in competition.
Yeah.
Like it's horrible. And as much as we go through as women, you would think that we would stick together. Dudes stick together when it comes to like bro code and
Bro
all of this other
code.
stuff. Dudes stick together.
Yeah, they do.
Which real quick, and are we on a split screen right now?
We are.
Okay, I can't see that much. Okay, but yeah, so like for her to say that, I mean, I think it's very disrespectful as a woman for her to even give that belittling and insignificant advice that she gave you. it was very, ooh, we.
It was tough, Miss Iconic, and it was
We.
something that I had to like dig deep and just really know that that was what I wanted for my life. And
What you
not
told her when she said that?
I just told her, like, these are the reasons why I'm walking away. And then she was like, okay, well, you're a woman first. And
What
so
does that
that,
mean?
I don't know.
You
You're
ain't asked?
Nah, I just kind of left it alone because it was just a lot that day, child. It was a lot that I just needed to just like, all right, cool. I never want to disrespect her or anyone of that matter. But I
What
definitely,
y'all would have said? What y'all would have said in the comments if somebody would have called y'all a no good for nothing? Okay, his mother called y'all trying to check you, tell you that your pride is a sin. So is flat backing. Okay, so is all that cussing that I'm sure you be doing behind doors. So is all that gossiping that you be doing.
yeah,
All of that is a sin as well. So don't call me trying to check me
yeah,
about, you know what I'm saying, my dealings with your son. It was not my responsibility to raise your son. It was your responsibility to raise your son, and you lack thereof. So therefore, you don't have the right, okay, to be calling me, checking me about Nathaniel. Not nothing. Oh,
girl,
honey.
not Nathaniel, girl. You done brought out Nathaniel, baby. Not
About Nathaniel. But
Nathaniel.
so to wrap up the disrespect portion,
Yeah.
right? I've heard a lot of guys, and not just black guys. I don't mind interracial relationship. I don't mind inter, whatever you want to call it, whatever. You love who you love, and you date who you date, and you marry who you marry. Um, be careful who you have your kids from, though, because that's a whole nother subject.
God
But
bless.
I've heard so many guys say, like, give reasons for why they don't date black women. And like the one that really took me by
Oh,
surprise and
I say wow.
was like off the scale, on the disrespect scale, was he said, "Oh, I will never be with a black woman because I want pretty kids."
Mm.
I said, oh,
Flag on
girl,
the play.
I gagged a little bit in real life, IRL. And you know what I'm saying? Because I just could not believe it. That came from a black man. I say, so you don't have the capabilities of having pretty kids? You're depending on a woman, which is not of the black race. You're depending on a white, Asian, Mexican, Indian, Hispanic, whatever.
My
He
goodness.
didn't care as long as it wasn't black, because he wanted to have pretty kids.
Was it
And
just off the hair, you think?
girl, probably, but he was shallow, and you
Yeah.
could tell that by his thought processes. Like, anyway, and then another one that I hear people say is, "I ain't got time to be dealing with no black woman because their attitudes
Oh yeah.
stink."
Yeah.
And it's rough, because we'll get into that, about the attitudes. But so to move on from disrespect and go to unprotected, like, what does it mean for, first of all, for you to be protected? What does that mean for you to have protection from your family, your spouse, your friends, your
Yeah.
coworkers? What does that mean to you?
To me, it just means like someone that has your back. No matter what you do in life, somebody got your back. And feeling protected, if your guard is down, the person that's supposed to protect you got their guard up just to be
Yeah.
there for you. So that's my definition of it. What about you, Miss Iconic?
Well, and so to go to unprotected,
Okay, yeah.
I just agree. So to go with unprotected, because you have to know what something is in order to know what it is not.
Yeah.
So unprotected, that means you don't have nobody that has your back. You don't have anybody standing from you for you.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have anybody, taking up for you when you are wronged. Those are ways that you're unprotected. And as women, man, we just go through and have to fight so much already in life. We're unprotected by the laws. That was my number one, and I mean, we could go on and on, but that is my top thing for being unprotected as a woman in the United States of America. And what I mean by that is, okay, for example, I am pro-life,
Okay.
okay? Meaning I do not believe in abortion, as well as I do not believe in capital punishment.
Okay.
I am all for life,
Okay.
all things living. Okay. However, I do also believe in pro choice, which sometimes
Like,
counters,
yeah.
right, the pro life, because you have a choice. Ultimately, and I'm getting to the abortion talk because as a woman, the responsibility is like 75, if not higher, percent the woman.
Yeah.
We have to carry the baby. We have to nourish the baby. We have to give birth to the baby. We
Yeah.
have to take care of the baby after it is born. We have to provide for the baby. And even after the baby is a grown ass child, we are still caring for that baby. So the
Absolutely.
brunt of the responsibility falls on the woman. And I feel that as a woman having to have that much responsibility, like you should have a choice. Don't matter how many times you done laid on your back and had them. Don't matter how many kids you done popped out. Don't matter how many kids you're not taking care of. Don't matter how no good you are and your mama
Okay.
is and your grandmama. It don't matter.
That's the grandmama.
I feel like you have, things be generational. I
Yes.
feel like you have a choice of
Yeah.
whether or not you want to have that baby or kill that baby. And ultimately, as harsh as it sounds, that is your choice. No, I do not believe in it, but I do believe and they have that right. But there are anti-abortion laws, not in every state, but in numerous states in the United States. Um, that say that first of all, don't give any exceptions to rape or incest, meaning if you're raped or your uncle, your dad, your brother impregnates you, you have to live with that
What?
forever. I'm not saying
Girl.
that it's that baby's fault.
That's tough.
Okay. But what I'm saying is, why should I be forced to live with something that I did not choose for myself? Why
Yeah.
should I have to put that child through that? I should have to have a choice.
Wouldn't that
You
be hard to
know,
even love the child?
I would assume so. I would assume so. So here you have all these elements that are playing into, now I can't even be a mother
No.
to this child the way that I need to be because you took away my choice. I was unprotected in my right to choose. So, the laws are not protecting people as far as, abortion. And then even like criminal laws.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm
Absolutely.
I'm from a small town, Cocoa, Florida.
Okay.
Google it. Crime rate ridiculous. Okay.
Mhm.
I I'm not I am not proud of that,
Okay.
but I'm just saying.
All
There
right.
was a young lady in Cocoa. She was on a case. A guy broke into this house. I don't know if he raped her, raped somebody. I believe she was the rape victim as well as the lead witness in the case.
Okay.
So the state of Florida and Brevard County she was not under a witness protection program. She was not under anything like that. The
Yeah.
guy went to jail, got out. He had already been in jail for numerous things. As a matter of fact, when this charge came on him, I believe he was already in jail. He got out. His girlfriend lived in the same apartment complex as this young lady. The state still did not offer her any type of protection from this man.
No way.
So
That
this
don't make
man can
sense.
literally,
I said that don't even make sense.
this man can literally look out the window and watch this girl. So he watched her. She had reported to the state that, hey, I'm in fear, I'm scared. She had been getting these strange calls on her phone. The state did nothing. She walked across the street to the store. And upon leaving the store, he kidnapped her.
What?
And a week later, they found her dead.
No way.
So the law, the
That's so
state,
Yeah,
The county
they don't
did
protect.
not protect her.
They didn't protect her. So Miss Iconic, that kind of is very similar to what happened in the media to Centoya Brown. But the only difference is she got out, you know, like she didn't die, so to speak. It's that 16-year-old young lady. Well, she was 16 at the time, and she got sentenced to life in prison for killing a 43-year-old stranger. And the guy had picked her up and forced her to his home. And it was like her boyfriend or violent boyfriend sold her to this guy for sex. And come to find out, you know, like she was trying to get out and she ends up murdering him. And the court, like, yo, you going to jail, like for life.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so, you know, it was recent. Well, she ended up serving like 15 years, but it was recent that she got granted for clemency. And you know, people were rooting for her and was so happy, but that she was unprotected for so long. Like, what? She shouldn't even have been in jail. And it
Unprotected.
happened.
And imagine what type of, I mean, I can only say how it appears. She appears to have herself together. She appears to have good common sense and everything like
Yeah.
that. But imagine the trauma mentally
My goodness.
that occurred from her being incarcerated for that long. You know, people that are in jail that long, they become institutionalized,
Yeah.
meaning, you know, they're stuck in this certain way of life. And unfortunately, a lot of people get out of jail physically, but they never free their minds mentally.
Yeah.
So, you know, Cyntoia, she, man, I watched her story and I loved not her story, but I love her in her story. I
Yeah.
love the fact that she stood strong. She stood for, you know, regardless of how many times they denied her release,
Kept
she stood
going.
for that.
She kept
She knew
going.
that she was innocent.
Yeah.
So again, unprotected. Um, to move on to the neglected part though, like, and I think they all kind of coincide together. The disrespect, unprotected, and neglected
Yeah.
all kind of coincide. With women, a lot of times we're neglected even in our own families. You know, we're neglected in the churches.
Oh, we.
We're neglected in the workplace, and the workplace was one of mine because I have personal experience with that. You know, women are harassed and degraded in
Yeah.
the workplace. Um, and then when we decide to speak up about it, we're
Hmm.
fired or worse. There's been a slew of women in the military serving this country and still unprotected. Still, their rights and their privacy is neglected. As a woman, it's just, you know, there have been women that have been murdered because they have spoken up about this harassment
Yeah.
and degradation that they have experienced in the workplace, in the military. Now I
Right.
know you're in the military. Have you ever experienced any type of harassment, anything like
So,
that,
so
of
to
the sexual
clarify,
nature, I guess?
well, just to clarify, I
Not
am.
really of the sexual nature, but go ahead.
Okay, cool. So just to clarify, I'm not necessarily in the military. I'm a civilian for the military. But have I had any type of neglecting? It was like for me,
I
it
said
was
harassment.
harassment. I'm sorry. Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh, at work, like guys, they will look at you, and if you have like a certain type of clothing on, like they'll be like, look at you, check you out, you know. And so I've had that where my pants fit myself, and yet they still look at you like you want that attention brought onto you. And so it was definitely in a harassment. I remember this one lady that I worked with, and she wore tight clothes all the time. And so because she wore tight
I
clothes,
wear tight. I wear tight clothes all the time, so they're gonna have to tell me something. But
something,
everything fits. It doesn't matter how much I try to get it loose.
yeah,
I'm a big woman. I'm a curvy woman, so everything fits me tight.
everything. Well, for this lady, she wasn't as curvaceous, but she was a curvy woman. And they said, oh, well, you wore these clothes, so you wanted to get harassed. And that was unfortunate because that ain't why she wore them clothes. She wore them because she liked the outfit, you know? And so stuff like that just drives me insane, Miss Iconic. It's not fair. It's not right. It's wrong in so many ways. And when they go and tell someone, that's when you're weak. When they go and tell someone, oh, you know, I was just kidding. You know, it was just funny. You laughed, you know, but really the lady gets offended. And it's...
I have to disagree. I don't think, you said when you going to the point where you said when you tell somebody that's when they look at you as weak. I disagree. I think that people do those things because they know that you're powerful. They know you're strong. And so they are doing things to take away, that strength. Like, like they see the greatness in you and they fear that. I don't think that they think you're weak at all. I think that they know that you're strong and you're powerful. And
so they're gonna go after you anyway.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So
that don't make no sense.
I mean, think they fear you.
But it makes sense what you're saying, but it makes no sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not even right for that to even be a thought process. You know, another situation, not necessarily harassment. Did you have anything else for that on harassment? Okay, so another thing, like for neglected, the thing I thought about was the R. Kelly situation. And so with R. Kelly, you know, he had all these girls and it was like an open secret. Like everybody knew what was going on, but people turned their heads because he was a good singer. Like the fans and execs, they all knew everything that was happening. I mean, even the parents knew what was going on. Like Aaliyah married this dude and she was 15 years old. And I felt like you're neglected as that, you know? So when these girls come and speak out, you know, they look at them like they're crazy, you know, and she's just tripping. It's R. Kelly. I believe I can fly, you know, type thing. And I really feel like that was something that the world did not help these ladies out at all until it got to a point where it was really bad.
Well, it's still, society still cannot accept the fact that this man was an absolute monster.
Yeah.
And they're saying, people have been having sex with young girls for years, but it's not the sex, because I can agree to that. I can attest to that. It's not the sex, but it's the sex, it's the manipulation, it's the starving them, it's the beating them, it's the urinating on them, it's the defaming them, degrading them, making, dehumanizing them, making them feel and act like animals. That is the monstrous part for me. And even to go further into the R. Kelly situation, like past the part of, society not really having the back of these young ladies, even furthermore, mentally, you have a young girl, and I don't know why people can't understand this. You have a young girl who is 15, 16, 17, sometimes as young as 12 years old. And I believe there were records of babies even younger than 12. Okay.
Oh, that's nasty.
You have these young girls who want this dream. We're taught to go after our dreams. We're taught to, go after our goals and our heart's desires. And you have these young, talented girls who can sing and they can act and they can dance and they can model and they're beautiful and all of this stuff. And you have this world-renowned, world-known, like top of the charts singer that is promising them this life, that is promising them this dream. And how could you not, at the age of 15 years old, fall for that?
Sounds so good. Right. It sounds good. It's like a lifetime opportunity.
Yeah. And to me, they were expected to handle a grown-up situation when mentally they were incapable of dealing with something like that. Mentally, they did not have, psychologically, they did not have the experience, the wisdom, the wherewithal, the know-how. They didn't have any of it to be able to deal with a just I don't know what to call him besides a monster
Yeah,
like
I
R.
can't even listen to
Kelly.
his music anymore. If I hear it, I'm
Yeah,
like cringing. I'm like, no, and people still listen, like, and they still play it on the radio and all of that. So it's a
those
tough,
babies were
yeah,
unprotected by not just the people around R. Kelly, like you said, but the parents.
the parents.
Because if the kids don't know no better, somebody had to take responsibility, and that was the parents' responsibility to protect them.
Yeah,
That was the parents.
and they did not.
They did not.
Yeah.
But I will say, a lot of these things that happen, I've like I know you spoke about one time sitting in a meeting and
Oh
somebody
yeah.
walking in and completely ignoring you. I've had one of those same situations in the workplace. The disrespect, the neglect of me and a group of coworkers standing around, and one of the higher authorities in that particular industry I was working in, he walked up and he spoke to them. He got to me. He looked me up and down. He skipped over me and spoke to the next person standing beside me. Now, the only difference between me and the people around me is the skin color. I am black and they were white. I
Yeah.
am not trying to make this a black and white thing, but what I am trying to bring awareness to is the fact that when people feel like people don't respect you, people do not protect you when they feel like you are less than them, when
Yeah.
they feel like you're beneath them, when they feel like you're small and they're big, when they feel like they're superior and you're inferior, like they do not and they will not protect you, and they will neglect you. They won't take up for you. They won't respect you at all because they feel like they don't have to. why
But
do
you
i
know
got
what?
to why do I have to respect dirt? you know
But Miss Iconic, on the flip side of that, they do not protect you when they feel like you're a threat. And so, like, if you're a threat to the workplace, if you're a strong-minded woman, then they're gonna be afraid to even help you. They don't want you to do better than them. You're too strong of a person. So I think it could go both ways, for what you're saying.
Heck yeah. Like I've been in an interview myself at this place, and I heard the lady literally tell the other lady that was doing my interview, like, no, like I was basically overqualified for the position. And she was like, we're not hiring her. They threw my stuff. Trying
Well,
to quit cussing, y'all. I'm doing very
don't
well.
let them.
They threw my stuff in the trash. I heard the papers go actually through the shredder. I heard the papers go through the shredder, and then the lady comes back out and says, we'll be in touch.
What?
I heard their entire conversation.
So you knew that they wasn't gonna call back, and then right in your face, they said we'll be in touch. Yeah, that's not gonna be the first time it's ever happened. It's not gonna be the last. It,
Yeah.
yeah, it sucks, but
If people fear you or they think that you're going to come in for their position or their title.
listen, when I started my job, I was working with the government, and I was a young person. I started at 23. And so I started when people that were already in the government for like 50 years, I started at the same level of them. And they didn't want to train me. I was a threat to them because it was like, oh, no, how this young person come and she already making all of this money, and so to speak, and they didn't even want to help me. So I became a threat to them. So I kind of had to, like, not only teach myself, but go to people who wanted me to go to the next level. But to
Do
weed
you
that
feel
out
like do
is tough.
you feel like you became a threat, or do you feel like they felt like you were beneath them so they wasn't taking the
No,
time?
no, they literally thought I was a threat because when a young person comes into the government with all these old schools, they think, oh, she's gonna take our job. Well, we can't train her because she's coming to take our job, and that's what took place for me.
Well, I guess it just translates to me. That says you're beneath me, so I'm not doing it. I have seniority. I've been here however many years, but it's all about perspective.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, so I mean, moving forward, because women deal with a lot, and I mean, in the midst of the lack that we experience in life, we're expected to deal with all of this, carry these burdens, and yet and still fix everything, correct everything, make sure everything is perfect. Not only do we have to perform, but we have to overperform. We have to do things
Twice as
2 or 3 times
Yeah.
better than the next person, our counterpart. We have to hold everything together. We have to make it look good. We have to smile while we're doing it, in the midst of everything that we're feeling, in the midst of everything that we're experiencing and enduring. We are expected to hold it all together, and God forbid that we have a moment of weakness. God forbid that we have a moment of vulnerability where we decide that we are going to express ourselves, because then is when
We're
we become
angry.
angry.
Okay.
Then is when we have an attitude.
Okay.
But that is one of the things, like I tell people all the time, it's really hard, not just being a woman, but being a Black woman in
Yeah.
society, because it's a fight.
It's a
It's a
fight.
constant fight. You're fighting at home, you're fighting at school, you're fighting at church, you're fighting at work, you're
Fighting
fighting
at
to
the grocery
be,
store. You're fighting. You just
I'm telling you.
all my life I had to fight.
Oh Lord. You're fighting to be understood. You're fighting to get respect. You're fighting to be seen. You're fighting to be heard. You're fighting, for compassion. You just it's just a constant fight, man.
Yeah.
And people don't understand that at a certain point you become fatigued. You become tired. Like you just don't want to fight no more. You just don't want to fight no more,
But
because
you still don't throw in the towel though. We still don't do it, even if we don't want to fight.
right. You're falling apart on the inside. And so I think that, it is just unreasonable and unrealistic to expect us as a woman to have to go through all this. We don't have the help that we should be receiving from people. We don't have the support. We're just expected to do it and deal with it. And when things come out of people's personality, they're never just, oh, well, that's just how they are. No, it's always something smaller that people have been dealing with. When men grow up to be abusive, it's not because they're just woke up abusive. It's because that is something that they've been looking at, watching,
Generation.
hearing, all of that
Yeah.
for a long time. And so we have to change, one, our perspective of how we view others, and then two, we have to help to inform people, uh you know properly inform people, so that people can change their perspective of us. You don't know how many times people have been shocked almost to have an encounter with me and to experience my conversation, my level of conversation, my level of intelligence, how eloquently that I speak, how I
Eloquently.
enunciate my words. Like, people are literally in shock when they find out, oh, you're Black. And I'll be like, yeah, I am. Oh, what?
Surprise.
No offense, but I didn't know. You didn't sound like it. I'm like, yeah, what does that mean, that I don't sound Black? Like,
I got that
so
my whole life, girl. You talk white. How do you talk a color? So weird.
yeah,
I don't understand.
yeah. One day I'm gonna learn some languages and people be like, you Chinese? Because you don't talk Black, you talk Chinese.
Yeah, so
I'm
give
gonna
me that
learn.
Chinese money and everybody else's money since you're surprised.
Listen, but yeah, so just, on a more positive tip, we've talked about the things that we've gone through. But let's talk about, how to move forward in those things. And like I said, just changing the perspective on how we see others and how we see ourselves,
Yeah.
and changing the narrative, imposing a little bit more reality onto people's stereotypes and things, because people don't know what they don't know.
They
They
don't.
only know what they see. And I got to be honest, every time I go somewhere and I see a woman, a Black woman, acting all out and just being loud and
But
just being like unreasonable and disrespectful to people, I like thwerp in my mouth. Like, I like burp and throw up at the same time in my mouth. I be like I be gagging, because it's I just don't like it. And I think that contributes to the stereotype of how people see me, because regardless of if we're related, if I know you or not, if that is another woman, that has an effect on me. You
Yeah,
know, how
they're gonna categorize you.
exactly how you see one is how you see us all. It don't matter black, white, Mexican, Chinese, you know, people by human nature categorize people. So um one thing that I will say about helping you to get over things like that is try not to be so offended
Ooh.
by things. I had to learn that because I be ready to snap
Man,
anytime I speak to somebody, they don't
listen.
speak back. Anytime somebody run me off or cut me off in the road. But then I never knew what it was, what forgiveness meant until I needed to be forgiven. You know, when I have the worst road rage ever. But those couple times when I was late somewhere and I'm like, oh, why? Because you just get out the way. And I'm laying on the horn and I'm weaving in and out traffic and I almost hit somebody. Like, I never knew what it was to forgive until I needed to be forgiven. I've had days where I just didn't feel like talking. Or maybe I didn't see you. Or maybe you spoke to me and I didn't hear you. You know, you have to begin to, just how we make excuses for ourselves, we have to begin to, in order to keep our sanity, we have to begin to make excuses for other people. And I know that doesn't sound right. And I know that's, you know, not humanly correct, you know, to make excuses for people. But I mean, maybe they're late for work and it's a really important day for them. Let me get out the way so they can go to where they
Yes.
need to go.
Yes,
Okay.
lifestyle changes.
Maybe they didn't hear me when I spoke to them. So guess what? I'm going to go out of my way and I'm going to make sure they hear me this time. I'm going to walk up to them. I'm going to look them dead in their eyes and I'm going to say, hello, how you doing today? I'm going to make it my business to make excuses for my offenses, because many times people don't actually really realize that they're doing those things. Many times it's on purpose, but more than the many that is on purpose, more than that, it's not. You know, it's an accident, or you know, it is. Even if it's not an accident, if you didn't want to speak to me, guess what? I'm gonna make you, and
Hey,
that
how
way
you doing?
you're not carrying that
Yeah.
on you. That way you can forgive people for whatever they did to offend you. You can forgive yourself for being offended, and then you can move on. Because forgiveness is not for other people, forgiveness is for you. And regardless of how we're treated, man, woman, cat, dog, black, white, Mexican, Chinese, regardless of how people treat us, we're human.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, except for the dog and the cat, but we're human. And so we have to start treating people as such. And we have to respect people. We have to protect people. And we have to stop neglecting the feelings and the needs of our fellow brother and sister.
You nailed it, Miss Iconic. That's 100. I signed, sealed, delivered, bam, what she said.
Do you have anything to add?
I mean, like, the forgiveness is it for me. Like, that's the only way you can move forward in life is when you forgive and just try to break those generational curses, you know, so you don't have to go through life like what happened in your past or whatnot. But yeah, you've nailed that, Miss Iconic. And hey, that's what it is. So listen, this your girl, Tiffany Two Tone, baby.
And y'all already know who this is. It's Miss Iconic, the hostess that always does the absolute mostest. Guys, we welcome y'all to the neighborhood. It's a block party every single Monday at 7 p.m. Same time, same place. Hit us up and we challenge you this week to respect your fellow brother and sister, to not neglect their feelings, their emotions. It doesn't matter how off they are from how you feel. Don't neglect what they're feeling. Accept it as their truth and figure out how you guys can work together to make a change and to make a difference. And also protect your brother and sister. Just because it's not your friend, your family, your niece and nephew, your coworker, it doesn't matter. If you see something, I'm not saying being nosy, put yourself in a position, but if you see something going on that is not right, protect that. Protect your relationships, protect your energy above all, guys. So
Okay.
listen, we are signing out. Signing out.
Yes,
Real so speak,
ESPP.
baby.